So when you hear the term weight loss surgery, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Maybe just a smaller stomach, right? Well, the reality is a whole lot more complex. We're talking about a fundamental rewiring of your entire digestive system. So let's break down what's really going on.
In this explainer, we're going to do a gut check on gastric surgery. We'll get into the major procedures and, maybe more importantly, we'll look at the potential complications that can pop up after such a massive change to the body.
Okay, so here's what we've got on tap. We'll start with why these surgeries are even done. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how the stomach is actually rewired. A big chunk of our time will be spent on what happens when things go wrong. We're talking obstructions, leaks, ulcers, the whole deal. And then, of course, we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways.
So let's start at the very beginning. Why go through with something this major in the first place? What's the driving force behind it?
Yeah, let's get one thing straight right away. This is not a cosmetic quick fix. Gastric surgeries are massive medical interventions. They're often the last line of defense against really serious, life-threatening conditions, things like severe obesity, stomach cancer, or chronic ulcers that just won't respond to anything else.
All right, now for the really cool part, the surgical engineering. How exactly do you rewire a stomach? Well, it turns out there are a few different ways to tackle the problem.
Let's start with one of the simpler approaches, the gastric band. Picture this. A surgeon places an inflatable silicone band around the very top of the stomach. This creates a tiny little pouch above it. So when you eat, that pouch fills up super fast, and it sends a signal to your brain that says, hey, we're full in here, which, restricts how much you can eat.
But simpler doesn't mean risk-free, not by a long shot. If that band is too tight, it can cause constant vomiting. Even worse, over time it can actually wear away or erode the stomach wall. Or it can slip out of place, which can cause a really dangerous blockage. Okay, moving on to some more heavy-duty procedures, like the Billroth surgeries. These are often used for things like gastric cancer. The main difference between them is all about where the stomach gets reconnected. With a Billroth eye, it's hooked up to the duodenum. That's the first part of the small intestine. But with a Billroth II, it skips the duodenum entirely and connects farther down to the jejunum. It seems like a small change, right? But that one difference has huge implications for how you digest food and what kinds of complications can come up later. And that leads us to the big one, the one you've probably heard of. It's often called the gold standard in gastric bypass surgery, the Roux-en-Y. It's way more complex, but it's also one of the most effective and common procedures out there today.
Let's walk through it step by step. First, surgeons create this tiny stomach pouch, completely walling it off from the rest of the stomach. Then, they literally divide the small intestine into two parts. They bring the lower section up and connect it to that new little pouch. Then that other end, the one still attached to the main stomach, gets reconnected way further down the line. That whole new pathway creates this distinctive Y shape, which is where the name comes from.
Okay, so we've rewired the whole system, and this is where things get really critical. When you make such a profound change to the body's natural anatomy, you open the door to a whole new set of potential complications. And honestly, understanding these risks is every bit as important as understanding the surgery itself. Let's kick things off with a big one. Obstructions. This is a truly twisted tale of what can happen when that brand new digestive highway gets a major roadblock.
So a small bowel obstruction, or SBO for short, is, well, it's a blockage where nothing can get through. The traffic jam analogy is perfect. It's a complete 5 o'clock on a Friday gridlock in your digestive system. And it's a serious risk for anyone who's had surgery in their abdomen.
But listen, not all traffic jams are the same. A simple obstruction is like a single car accident blocking one lane. It's bad, but manageable. But then there's the closed loop obstruction, and this one is a whole different beast. This is when the intestine gets blocked at 2 points, trapping a whole section in between. That trapped loop just fills with fluid, swells up, and worst of all, it can lose its blood supply. That is a full-blown surgical emergency.
So how in the world do doctors spot this thing? Well, on a CT scan, they're looking for a very specific clue, a telltale sign. It's a loop of the bowel filled with fluid that's bent into a C or a U shape. Seeing that on a scan is a massive red flag.
Right, so blockages are a huge deal, but they're not the only thing on the radar. There are other really critical complications we need to talk about, like leaks and ulcers.
Every time a surgeon creates one of those new connections, stapling or sewing things together, there's a risk that it could leak. And these leaks are most likely to happen within the first 10 days or so after the operation. Make no mistake,
A leak is a very, very serious problem.
And get this is a really wild and important fact. When one of these leaks or a perforation happens, the most reliable warning sign isn't what you'd think, like terrible stomach pain. Nope. It's a racing heart. A heart rate that shoots up over 120 beats per minute is considered the single biggest clue that something has gone terribly wrong. Then you've got something called marginal ulcers. These are ulcers that pop up right at that new connection point. And the reason why is actually pretty straightforward. The lining of your small intestine just isn't built to handle raw, concentrated stomach acid. Over time, that acid can literally burn a hole right through it. And then there's this thing called dumping syndrome. Think about it, the new stomach pouch is tiny, so food can just dump into the small intestine way too fast before it's properly digested. This sudden rush triggers all sorts of not-so-fun symptoms: nausea, diarrhea, feeling lightheaded. It's especially common after a meal.
All right, this next one is a real paradox, and honestly, it's fascinating but also really dangerous. The surgery works, right? So the patient loses a ton of weight. But as they lose weight, that protective layer of fat inside their abdomen also shrinks. This opens up a lot of empty space, and the intestines, which are now more mobile, can slip through little gaps that were created during the surgery. This is called an internal hernia, and it can cause, you guessed it, that super dangerous closed-loop obstruction we just talked about.
Okay, we've gone through a lot. The procedures, the risks, the twisted tales. So what's the big picture here? When we put it all together, what's the most important stuff to remember?
So what's the bottom line? Let's just boil it all down. First, these surgeries aren't just procedures. They're powerful tools that permanently change your anatomy. Second, every single one of them has its own unique set of risks and benefits. Third, these complications we've been talking about, obstructions, leaks, ulcers, they are very real possibilities that need lifelong monitoring. And finally, understanding the complete picture, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is absolutely crucial.
And that kind of brings us to our last big thought here. A gastric bypass is an incredibly powerful tool for sure, but it is not a magic wand. The surgery itself is really just the first step on a very long road. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. Beyond the operating room, what is the real key to making it all work in the long run?